Hey, what's up, Tanya? I'm running late getting on here. We'll give it a few minutes. Can you hear me okay? And I'm running the chat on this other one. Yeah, I think I remember Cat Eyes. What's up? We'll see who else comes in. I'm running it on the iPad too. So the chat doesn't stay up on here, but it's up on this, so I can run it on both. I got in here late. I was supposed to be in here at 6. I may end up changing the day because I work. I have like they swap my days. I have 4 days on, 3 days off, and it's really not a true 3 days. So when it's supposed to be 3 days off, it's really 2.5 because you're gonna sleep either half or all of the day trying to catch up on your shift, on your sleep. Let's see who all comes in. How you been doing? Trying to see. Yeah, I'm tired. Yeah, it's tiring. What state are you in? Oh, okay, all right. What did I do in Maryland? I've been to Maryland. I've been through it. I mean, I think it's a pretty state. A little too mountainous for me. Some of y'all mountains is beast. They got something out there. You in Clinton? Okay. Yeah, I think I've been through Baltimore area trying to do back when I was driving deliveries and stuff. I don't like the East Coast, not for trucking. I mean, I think it would be cool to come visit like in a car, but not for trucking. That trucking that in the East Coast is not your friend. Yeah, that's I don't understand. I guess it's me. I don't understand why people. I guess some of it is just that's where you at or you love the area, but like Californians, I don't understand why they live there. I mean, it's a pretty state, but it's expensive as hell. And there are people who are basically barely living, but they won't leave California. That's just they Cali. I'm Cali till I die. I guess I don't know. For me, I'm like, no, I can't. I can't pay that. I can't. I can't pay that. I can pay that somewhere else. I have a friend of mine. She actually grew up in Compton, and we ended up working together at a couple companies here in Arizona. And she actually works for one of the former banks I was at. And so she moved from Cali to here back when I first met her working at a cellular company. Did it together, and she moved from Cali to here. And she said I would have never been able to buy a home here in Arizona. She's owned. I'm trying to think in my head, probably 4 or 5 houses since she been here. Affordable to her, and even that. Well, she was the first time she was single. She bought 2 houses. Then when she got married, they bought a third house. Then she got divorced. She in her fourth house. So, it's not impossible. And this is now a single twice, and now a single mom with 2 boys. So, but she couldn't have done that in Cali. She couldn't have done that in Cali. I don't know if we're gonna get anybody on here because I got on here late, so folks might not have known. And they might come back and watch this later. I'm gonna knock it out. I'm so tired. And I want to sleep anyway. I'm trying to find a movie because I want to watch a movie tonight. Who's coming? You said they're coming. Who's coming? I was trying to do 3 o'clock in the afternoon for you guys. Oh, the alerts. It takes all the subs. They might. I did initially put 3 in the afternoon, which I think works better because I do have quite a few of y'all who are either Midwest or East Coast. And I have to understand a lot of East Coast folks, they gonna go to bed. So six, what's that, 10 o'clock? I don't know. And y'all got time change too. I don't even know what your time. What's the time where you're at right now? Yeah, see, a lot of people going to bed. So I either gonna have to move the day, but the weekend is probably better for a lot of folks because they're off. But for me, I work 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Right now is my shift. And I'm a night person in general, so I like nights. I don't want to be bothered. Just let me do my job and go somewhere in the corner and leave me alone. Um, but I've been very tired. We lost some people. We had two girls that worked with me. I liked them both. Actually, I like both of them. Both of them were really good. One, I guess she said she basically left for health reasons. The other one, I think she found another job. And so for both of them know where we work because they've been trying to talk about going back in that office. And I'm really loving the work from home. So that is something I'm going to have to pray about. But they trying to get back in that office because folks, I don't know, I don't get it. But I'm older too, and I'm older, and just some folks, I think they need something to do, and sometimes something to do is being up in each other's business. That's not me. I'm coming in there to make my money and go home. I'm not trying to be up in your business. I don't really care about your life, and I don't mean care about it in a I don't want to say not care about. What I mean is that there's people who need drama in their life, and some folks just want to be up in drama, or they try to create drama because they don't have a life of their own, or they drama because they focused on you because they don't have a life of their own. And that's kind of, I think I have some of that where I'm at right now. Because there was a girl there before me, and they had so much drama with that baby. Once she left, and I was the new person they hated. So it's just drama. But anyway, and for me, I'm just like, guys, I'm just here to I'm here to get a paycheck and go home. I'm not trying to be all up in anybody's business. And wow, I'm that interesting. Okay. Anywho, well, some people don't come in here. I don't know who all don't come in. Folks ain't saying nothing, but I'm just gonna chat, and I'm just gonna go and start, and other folks will join because I don't want to be on here long, and I'm tired, and I'm probably gonna go to sleep. Um, I had Greek. What I order? Greek Middle Eastern for dinner lunch. I didn't feel like cooking nothing today, so I found a place I ordered from. Was it yesterday, day before? Girl, that's a whole nother conversation. That's a conversation in itself. The diversity in this place is not good at all. I didn't get to see everything, but I had referred someone in, and they put her through the orientation. I did not go through the orientation, and I guess they just randomly do the orientation. So she got to walk the facility, and I did not know. It's sad when and this girl's credentials are good. I mean, I worked with her at another company. I didn't know her personally, but I felt comfortable enough with her professional background and that she was a decent person. And I knew we had done projects at Aetna together. And we both were kind of on the line of going becoming project managers when the Affordable Care Act went under. And then she went and got on with the VA. And then I went back into transportation into trucking. And I referred her in, but it's sad when you apologizing to somebody because you're like, dude, I didn't know. I was impressed when I got there because the management, I saw them on the phones, I saw them out there on the floor with the people. This is not a big call center. It is call center sort of work. It has like a mishmash of groups, but you have like your breakdown group, and then you have a group. What I'm in is we're like a jumble of after hours agents is really the title, but we're a jumble of like dispatch and planners and customer service. It seems like this group just became the group where when something didn't work, they just dumped that workload on this group, and this group just kind of, I call it juggling the balls. They just throw the balls in the air and you juggle them. But their diversity there, not good. But I think this is not. I don't think it's just typical of them. It's indicative of the industry, and it's sad to see what I'm seeing because Trucker Bill, who I'm going to probably get on here, he's been helping. I think he helped somebody with a move, so me and him are going to try to schedule something. But he had warned me about the lack of diversity in transportation. He had warned me about discriminatory behaviors in transportation. And he just said some really, the brother knows his stuff. He's been in the industry over 40 plus years. And now being in the office, I see that lack more. And just even so, corporations that I've worked for, and don't get me wrong, discrimination is in every industry, but corporations I work for, a lot of them have focused on trying to be diversified. But now we do have a new climate where what was used to be swept under the rug, racism, is very blatant, and you have corporations that don't care. And like even when I got here at this company, I saw some things. They had another young lady there, and I saw things that to me I couldn't really say anything because I didn't know her. I saw some issues with her, but I definitely saw bigger issues with the treatment, behavior of how she was treated, and she was Middle Eastern, at least by what I gathered. She was Middle Eastern and she was from the East Coast. And there's lack of cultural diversity on all levels. I haven't even said half of the things that have been done and said in the background to me. I mean, I have really been humble, and I'm really walking on my Christian principles in this place, and just trying to leave it in God's hands. And I don't know, after, like I said, I'm praying whether this is supposed to be just for a season I'm there or whether this is where I retire from. Initially, I actually liked the job. I'm not there now because it's really now, or just the interaction with the driver is not as good as what I would have liked. Now they just really, it's a numbers game. It's like just get them on and off the phone. I had a driver get mad at me the other night. You know, and I was like, Sir, look, I apologize. I'm not trying to be mean. They've given us a certain time to be on this phone. And I try to work, and that's a biblical saying, work is unto the Lord. So that's what I'm trying to do. If that's the mandate they give me, then that's what I'm doing. And getting you on and off this phone is really it. I don't have time for long, drawn out conversations. I don't have time for them hemming and hawing around everything. Um, but it's really sad. What I've seen is sad. Now, what they are trying to do in one of the areas, I know they've brought more females in. Hey, Tiffany, what's up? I know that they've brought more females in an area where that group was all pretty much, only female was a supervisor when I first got there. Hey, Carolyn, what's up? Doing good. How you guys doing? But as far as minorities, no. There's one girl there who was there in the group I'm in. I think she's mixed. And that was the only person of looks like of any African American descent, and she's young. Um, they had a couple of Latinos there, and my boss, he's Latino, but there's some blending. He associates more so with some of the Anglos there, and that's a whole nother issue. And I actually liked him coming in. Hey, Dexter, what's up? Glory be to God. Thank you, Jesus. What's up? Hey, um, but I know that there's a professional diversity issue there, and it's something that companies have to divest and invest in. You have to want to bring in and want to diversify. I don't know if I sense that there. I don't get it. And it is very small company minded, which is not necessarily good because they are now way too big to be doing what they're doing, and eventually it is going to have an impact on them. There's just no way. It's like, oh, I don't know if you guys know the Walmart story. Walmart drivers, a long time ago, when I first started trucking school, Walmart was not hiring women, and they weren't hiring minorities, and they were doing their discrimination very blatant for a while in the area of transportation. I know Walmart got hit with some kind of class action suit. It was big because I know that my trucking school instructor, who was a white lady, she was like, she's like, she wouldn't drive for Walmart because I guess she knew about other people who just got really treated foul during just even trying to go for it, and she didn't have a good vibe. But she then later on, hey Tasha, what's up, baby? They then had a big class action lawsuit, and then you saw them then having to dig in by force. Hey, Wendy, and dig in. Yeah, it's a hot mess out where you at right now, girl, in Colorado. We'll talk about that in a minute. Um, where they dug in and they basically had a major class action lawsuit. You got to be careful when you do this and when you allow it and when you don't do a change, because it's just what we always did. And you have to really want to diversify. And I don't know I don't know if I really see that there. This is the way we run our business. This is what's worked for us, and this is what we're going to do. And we're not going to worry about the the ramifications of any of the discriminatory behavior that's up in here, or even the implied discriminatory issues. It's like the young lady that actually, I don't know if they fired her or she quit because it was really a hot mess, the whole thing. Um, but how that whole thing played out, I just said quiet because I come from trainings and there's things you know the psychological behaviors of people who are being discriminated against. You also know how discriminatory behaviors happen, how people all of a sudden make a person look a certain way or appear a certain way, or add more stuff that wasn't even about that. The person, this young lady had some issues, but it to me was a very blatant. I mean, we got to the point they were on the floor plotting and beating her up. I mean, it was some stuff. I was sitting there and I was new. I'm like, oh my God. I'm new. I'm going back to staying with Vivian and Vicky, telling them, her and her son, the drama that was going on the dramedy that was going on up in there with that young lady. I was telling my sister, and then when the young lady left and all the drama started happening with me, she said, that's what that girl was going through. And I was like, yeah, I kind of realized. So the behavior of this young lady, I get, because there's a psychological thing that happens. There's behaviors that if we're being discriminated against, there's behaviors that stances that people will take. They'll become very back. In some cases, some they just as hello and goodbye. They're very cautious. They do not trust. It's a whole bunch of stuff. Let me see. I got good people in here. Okay. V Griffith, what's up, baby? I look over here, guys. I got the iPad over here so I can see the chat, because this thing don't keep the chat up. It pops it up and then it goes away. Anyway, good evening, everybody. Tanya was asking me about have they hired more minorities where I'm at, and I said no. There's a diversity issue, and I don't know. They may watch me on here. I have no idea because this is public, so who knows? I don't really care. I'm just, there's certain things I'm not going to say. I'm not a fool. And I'm also, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'm not a fool. And then if they make decisions because, oh, you said this or that, they can do that. I've never announced or promote or demote their company. With the exception that Monet had asked me, because she was knew where I worked, and Monet had asked me, was looking for a trucking job. And I told her, yeah, no, you don't want to come here. One, my thing wasn't even about the diversity issue, as far as her being a driver. She's from New York. My issue was it's extremely starter company behavior. I mean, I had a driver call me to ask me could they bobtail to a terminal to pick up a load. I was like, well, can you? Why are you calling to ask me, can you bobtail in to pick up a load? It's a loaded trailer. It's a relay. You're not having to take a trailer into a customer. You're going to your terminal. I would have never picked up the phone for that question. But I later come to find out from another driver that this company has some restrictions as to when they are allowed to bobtail. I was like, okay, you guys are really starter. So and so I knew, and based on some other things, I knew Monet, it was not gonna work for her. She's been too long term independent. She was an owner op. She's owned a truck. Then when she broke up with whoever she was with, and she went and did her own truck. She's too independent. She's not gonna be asking permission for stuff. And they limit. And I said, girl, you be up in here cussing these people out every day. You already know. I know. While I think they might be an okay starter company, I couldn't have driven for them. I'll be honest. It's too restrictive. I can't. I'm not going to ask you, can I bobtail to go pick up a load? I'm not. I am not. I'm not. But also, I think that by making drivers dependent, it also puts them to where you control them more. So you control the narrative. You control a lot of stuff. Now that's who they actually remind me of. It's funny that you said that, Tiffany. That is exactly who they remind me of. One of the reasons why I had left SRT um, was because I found that I had a strong. They were running SRT was running separate from that company, and then when I knew that that company was going to take over, I just had this sense, and I just had that. There was a lot of things. That was one, but then I had some health stuff too. And when I got back here, I could have still went back to SRT, but I told him I was going home for him health stuff. I need to get to the doctor, all that. But when I got back here and I started weighing out everything, and then the whole Bell's palsy thing happened, I was like, yeah, I'm not getting back on the truck. But I felt it. I felt I was done. But I also knew something was coming, and I kept telling Jay, my little son, who was on rock for them. I kept telling him, man, something's coming. And it wasn't even, I don't know if it was a month or so after I left. He told me, he said, Shannon, what you said happened. I told you I could see it coming. Because I blend, even though I drove a truck, I bring that corporate background, and I worked in management at a bank. I know how when mergers happen, eventually, companies don't run as separate as they can. What they do is start blending things in. And it's just like the when I was at one of my companies I drove for, I told my driver manager, they're going to start cutting out some of your jobs. I'm telling you what I'm seeing. The job's gonna go. Sure enough, that's what happened. They cut out pieces of safety, they cut out a whole bunch of stuff. Her position, she initially, I think she had like 30 reps, and it almost doubled. I mean, she told me her call volume, they doubled up their workload. I mean, I'm just like, whoo, whoo. But I told her it was coming because, like I said, you can only do that for so long. You can only do it for so long. Anyway, I didn't want to get down this rabbit trail. Let me see what everybody said. Well, with the start, and Wendy, I get it because with the starter companies, well, and it's, I think this is the difference between, like, I have some associations with drivers from Prime. And I, in the background, especially on Facebook, I have a couple drivers, some that were with one of my former Swift company that ended up going to Prime later in their career. Um, uh, some of them that I just kind of got to know through other channels. Some of them through other group affiliations, and I just associate them through social media. And like Junior, you guys know Junior's jumped on a couple times, and Junior to me is an excellent trainer for Prime. Um, I followed him, Tiffany Hanna, and Junior. I got him in the background. I watched him for a long time. I started watching him when he was training a guy named Rodney. And Junior, just to me, that is really that's what you really want a trainer to be, is a Junior Honduras. You want that trainer to be that. And a lot of your starter companies in the transportation industry, they don't have that. And to get that, again, it takes wanting to make that step. Now, I don't work for Prime, but I've interacted with, I'm gonna say, three major Prime female drivers that are part of their group. They have actually a group within Prime that is focused on drawing women and keeping women in that industry. Um, I also, at least on the driver's side, I don't know up in their office personnel what it looks like. On the driver's side, I'm impressed with the level of professionalism, at least what I've seen, and I'm impressed. I'm impressed with their what I see to be, and I actually, D Boy Stance was a Prime driver who's part of 411. So D Boy was Stance. She was a Prime driver. So I've actually have four major, and they every truck company's gonna have their ups and downs. But as far as like a starter training company, I would hands down, if people reach out to me, I'm like, if you can get into Prime, go to Prime. And the reason is because I just, from talking to them, and even from, I went to a trucking school, and then I went to companies in order to finish out. Because if you go to trucking school, you have to go through what they call an externship with a trainer. You have to go on with somebody who's been driving and do hours, and then you get into your own truck. So I went that route. Prime is kind of the all-in-one. It is a fast-paced training environment, but the way they lay out their training is genius. It's in phases. Um, they have a a pattern by which they follow if you're going to, and they do lean towards pushing people to owner op, but they have a pattern to try to, if you get under that pattern, it can make you successful in trucking. And if you just work their method. But what I like is A, they have a method, B, they have a standard, C, they look to want to do diversity, especially among women. They do have minorities there. I don't know what the treatment, again, I don't know what their treatment is. I don't know what their diversity is in their office, but I'm even impressed with the women in the office. They have quite a few. Hold on. Oh, okay, V. Griffith. Yeah, Prime. Okay, and I didn't even mean for this to go trucking. Y'all know we're gonna talk about it a little bit because that's part of the background. Um, I don't know about their flatbed division, but I'm impressed with Prime. I'm gonna be honest. If I wasn't as fat and fluffy as I was and in better shape, and I had talked to Junior in the background, I probably, and he kept saying, "We got big boys out here. You can do this and da 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 da." But they're physical. I was like, "Ain't no way in hell," because they had a climbing ladders and also, and I had got to a point. I honestly, one of the big thing about reefer, I don't never. I'm gonna tell you, when I became a reefer driver, I never had to climb in the back of a trailer, ever, ever. Out of once I switched over to reefer, there was no climbing on the bumper. No, mm-mm. Climbing up in the trailer. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. That's one reason I like reefer. I threw them load locks in the back. When they put them loads up there, they would throw them load locks up. I was good to go. And if they didn't put the load locks up, I would tell them, "I'm sorry, I am not climbing in. So can I just walk on the dock?" They would let me back there. And I had my knee was bad anyway. So I was like, "I got a bad knee." They let me go on up in there and put my load locks up. But for the most part, I'm going to say 99% of the time, they put the load locks up as long as I put them in the back. I didn't have to put no load locks up. I would check, my load was secure. Boom, I was out. I didn't have to do that. So uh with Prime, no, they have you do what I call you gotta do a workout physical. So, and I knew my fat fluffy butt was past that. I wasn't gonna get the doing all the shenanigans they have you do. I wasn't there no more. Not where I was at by the time I hit the late 40s, 50s. It wasn't happening. I did it with now Conway had me do. I had to do the physical, like Conway had you climbing up on the table like you were climbing in the back of the truck because that was a drive-in job. I was able to do that, but that was in the early part of me driving, and I was in much better shape. I also was 150 some pounds lighter, so it wasn't as hard. But now where I'm at, it wasn't gonna happen. It wasn't happening. So that's not the only reason I like reefer. I like reefer because it had. I'm a person that likes steps, and I'm a person that like order, and handling reefer to me, if you're going to be a reefer driver, it has a certain it has a step process to it. But V. Griffith, one thing, if you're gonna go there, get into their whatever their women. They have like a women in trucking thing that they're part of. Remember, Tiffany Hanna won that truck, and she's part of Prime. And they have a women in trucking group. I met when I was over the road. I can't remember her name. I probably got her card somewhere in here. Um, it was the first time I met Savanje in Tennessee. We had talked, me and Savanje had been talking across, but we physically face to face met. Who's my little son, Chi-Town Trucker. I ran a Prime driver, and she happens to be, oh my God, she's in their women in trucking group, and she actually like a doctor or something. She retired or whatever. Said she got bored and got into trucking, and she's known. I mean, they know, and she's part of this group they have there through the drivers and in the office staff. And it's the women in that company. Like I said, I'm really impressed with that part of it. For Prime, again, I don't know about minorities, but I do know there's two minority ladies that are in that group. Tiffany Hannah D Silva, um, that are, and I'm just really impressed with that. Um, and obviously, from the ground up, most trucking companies will hire minorities. That's not a problem. Matter of fact, that's probably because I get this question a lot, and it bothers me, but it's okay. well, are you going to go back to driving? As if I'm not supposed to be in the office. I'm supposed to be on a truck. That's where you people are supposed to be. And I'll just leave it there. I'll leave it there. But I get that question quite a bit over the phone, or why I stopped, or, as if that's where you're supposed to be, that you're not supposed to be at the level of being in the office. So, like I said, it's some questions. And I remember an interview, I won't mention the trucker's name. He irritates me, but he is a big trucker on YouTube. And he interviewed his father. And I'm just going to quote what his dad said, because, and he said, this is what his dad said. And he's an African American guy, very, very, very popular YouTuber. He interviewed his dad, and his dad's been in trucking longer than him, a lot longer. And his dad said, I told you, boy, inside the trucking companies is lily white. He ain't never lied. He told you facts. He told you facts. And it's huge diversity, but I don't think they're really looking for it, because they've gotten away with it for years, until you don't get away with it, and then you're forced to change. Um, to me, it's better to want to change than to be forced to change. Walmart had to be forced to change in its hiring practices of minorities as well as women as drivers for Walmart. Um, they had to change it. They had to change it up, and then they started begging to bring that in, because they were now under scrutiny, and the microscope was on them. So, it's gonna eventually, it's gonna happen. You can either you can do it proactively, or you can do it forced. And so, but it'll happen in its own time. And but for whatever reason, this industry is like that. And my father tells a story. So my father, yeah, obviously he's black. He told me the story, because we talked about some of the things going on with this company. And he told me the story about when he first, because he actually, I don't know, if I never really talked about it. My father was a trainer for the railroad. So he was a brakeman switchman. And anytime they brought on new employees into the role, my father trained them. He calls them his kids, like I would call drivers my kids, that I would, have been on my truck. So even some of the ones I kicked off who are still in touch, I got drivers who I kicked off my truck who still contact me. And they were like, well. I'm like, okay, now you need my help. You don't want to listen to me, but then you got crap trainer who passed you through, and now you in a bind, and now you're gonna call the decent trainer. But and I'm gonna go back and read comments, so y'all just comment. But I will say this, and I didn't want to go down this rabbit trail. My father told me the story of when, in the early part of his training, they had brought this woman to him, and the management, white management, had told him in a side conversation, if you term her, we understand. Okay. So basically, and it was a black woman. Now, it wasn't about her being black. He didn't care. My father, he's very Monty. You know how Monty, Grumpy Grady, Grumpy Smurf is just who he's gonna be. But he told me this story, and he said, Shannon, he said, when they came back, she was still there, and they're like, she's still here. He's like, why ain't she still here? She work. He said, hell, she worked. She worked. He said she might struggle a bit, but she worked harder than the other guys. She take initiative. The other ones, the men is lazy. He said they won't be out there busting her butt. He passed on through his stuff, and they wanted him to term her. One, because he's a black man. If he termed this black woman, they weren't as worried about discriminatory suits. Well, they wanted her gone for whatever their reason was, because they really didn't want women. It was were discriminatory back then. He told me, he said, we didn't have that many women, if any. Not on the line, not out there, not out in the, not out there switching and doing all. It was all men. And he said that was really what he sensed. They didn't want her there because she was female. Okay. It was the black thing wasn't already a positive thing, but a female in where he was during that time, they didn't want a woman out there. And he didn't term her, so she went on and she was moved to, I think, New Mexico or one of the other lines for the railroad. And they got rid of there. And he told me, he said she filed. He said I know she hit him with a suit, and he said I think she won. Because they just didn't want women out there. And it's irony that, you have to have people go through that, but it opened the door that later on, he said, well, it opened the door for some other, because they finally did start having women out there on the line. Matter of fact, he tells the story of one of the ladies, some gay chick that was on his line. She would throw parties for all the railroaders at her house out there in Texas, and her house was somewhere off the line. So all the railroaders would call out sick, go to her party, get slamming drunk. When the trains would go by from his railroad, they would take the pants down and moon. Railroaders, transportation folks, or some of the drivers are bizarre, but transportation railroad dudes, them fellas is often, they funny as hell. I've sat down and had dinner with them, with Grumpy, and ate, and they funny. I wanted to interview Nick. They do some really odd stuff. I mean, when I was out there, the one that we met who was on his Harley, he had a braided beard, driving a Harley, no helmet, white dude, hair down to his butt, and driving his Harley with flip flops on. They are just a different group of folk. They funny though. They funny as hell. A lot of vets too, but they funny. But railroaders, they different. Even the chicks is different. Yes, he had the gay chick, and they would have this big party at her house. She had like this trailer house, whatever, manufactured home on a piece of dirt out in Texas. And they would get sloppy drunk, and then they would moon the train. And his buddy Nick said, I would sit there and be laughing. He called my father. So they have nicknames. Everybody got nicknames. And so my father, his nickname was Zuma, Montezuma, because his name's Monty. So Montezuma. So they called him Zuma. Everybody had nicknames. So they funny. They a funny group of people. And yeah, they funny. But yeah, he trained quite a few of their railroaders, and he told me, he said oftentimes if I train a woman, I would tell them the women work harder than the dudes. He said they might have some struggles. He said, but I could tell they be out there busting they hump. he said, and the men, some of the men lazy as hell. I was like, are you shocked? You shocked? I'm not shocked. Anyway. All right, y'all. I want to get into a different conversation. We're 37 minutes in. I don't want this to be more than an hour. So, the first conversation, I got pieces of stuff. So I'm gonna tell y'all the C2A is coming to America. I'm gonna talk about that movie because I watched it. I'm gonna talk about that closer to the end. I'm gonna talk about Instapot second, and then the first I'm gonna talk about is Rolls. So there was somebody on here, and I forgot her name, and it was a compliment. She did it as a compliment, but I want to talk about it because it stood out to me. And it stood out to me because of what she said, and it bothered me at the same time. While I think it's a compliment and thank you, it bothered me. So here's the deal. So I was putting that little cart together, little cart video showing y'all my little Instapot cart. And I love little cart too. Little cart is working. Is this your friend? And I need y'all see that kitchen is tiny, so I need storage. So, and that Instapot is freaking huge. So the cart, when I put it together, she saw me, and I thought y'all put it together. I like putting it together videos. I know. I was like, well, let me do this because I watch people put stuff together all the time, and I'd be like, and I sit there and just enjoy it. I actually am good at putting stuff together. So you give me these little Asian diagrams, and I like putting stuff together. And I have to, and it's kind of part of a little bit of, my grandmother was OCD in cleaning. I have OCD when it comes to taking things apart or putting them together. Okay, so I actually like putting things together. So I threw the little cart together. Y'all saw me and follow the instruction, put the cart together. It came out really nice. Nice little cart. Wasn't bad. I think $60 ain't bad for that cart. The person made the comment, and I may not be quoting it exactly, basically had complimented, hey, I can see that, you don't need a man to do stuff for you. You're all in one. You can do it for yourself. So first of all, I am not a man. and I don't consider myself all in one. I'm very happy I'm female, more than I've ever been in my life. The same as some men are happy they men. I'm so happy I was born female. And not knocking my fellas out there. But there is a certain wisdom that women have that most men don't. We develop a little faster than you guys do at certain things. So I realize the blessings in what God did. Now, With that being said, and I'm not putting men down saying you dumb or stupid, but we have a different insight, instinct, things like that, okay? And I've just noticed that. And might be why the Bible tells y'all that when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing, because she'll bring to the table what you're missing. Vice versa, you may bring some things to the table she's missing. But in our world that we're in, and especially in the time that we're in, one of the things I personally have a problem with is the lack of independence, regardless of whether you male or regardless of whether you female. I think that when we look at roles, oh, the man takes out the trash, the woman cooks and cleans the house. I have a problem with that. And I have a problem with that because most of us don't grow up married. Okay. And if you want to go to traditional marriage roles, do you, boo boo. That's you. But for me, that would not work. I'm not the traditional going, everybody dirty up a house, need to have their butt up cleaning up a house. Male, female, dog, animal, everybody gotta do their job. So everybody gonna participate. I don't care. The same way to me, the son can take out the trash, he can get his butt up in their kitchen and wash some dishes. The same way the daughter can wash the dishes, she can take the trash out. And the same way the daughter can cook, the son can cook. Because my view is, you didn't grow up married. You're not going to necessarily know whether you're going to be someone, especially people rearing children, whether that child is going to grow up being married. And even if they aren't married, I believe you need to be able to take care of yourself. Learn how to wash your clothes. Learn how to wash your butt. Learn how to cook a meal. Like for example, Grumpy can cook. His mother cooked. He used to talk about frying chicken and doing stuff for my brother when he was married to my brother's mother. My father can cook. I don't want to. That's a difference. He doesn't want to, which is ignorant, but I don't want to. He can. He just doesn't want to. Um, he grew up under a mother who could cook, so he can cook. My problem is when you have people who don't have nor want the skill. So when you're raising children and a child, I don't know how to cook. The hell you mean you don't know how to cook? You gonna eat fast food all the time? You know how much money that is? But my friend Anthony, I had helped a friend of mine, Anthony, who was wasting extreme amounts of money buying cigarettes and alcohol and getting fast food because I don't know how to cook. I was like, and he'd be broke and he'd contact me like, hey, dude, can you loan me XYZ? And I had money. I was making very good money back in the day. It wasn't a big deal. But there was a point where I said, I love you. You're my boy. You're my homie. Why are you always broke, bro? And he made decent money too. And so, we got to talking. I knew he bought cigarettes. I knew he had alcohol issues. But he was eating out all the time. And I was like, you spending a freaking fortune. I mean, just this week, I've eaten out a couple times. It's expensive. And I have delivery. But even back when we were going out, you automatically $20 a person for a meal. Minimum. Okay? If you go into a decent place. But even fast food now is expensive. People, when I don't know how to cook. What do you mean you don't know how to cook? I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Or now use that term loosely, a male or a female. Everybody should know how to cook. It just doesn't make sense to me. And it should be really part of your rearing and training. And I think it's a detriment when parents don't train children to cook and don't train them based on gender specifics. Oh, well, Johnny takes out the trash and Susie cooks. No. Everybody in the house need to know how to cook. Everybody in the house need to know how to take out the trash. Because the reality is once Susie hits the age of 18 and she prayerfully ain't living up under her mama and is independent living at home by herself, Susie knows how to take out the trash. She knows how to clean a house. She knows how to hammer a nail. She knows how to take a screw and screw something in. She knows how to repair stuff. Because Susie is on her own. And brother Johnny don't live with her. And mommy and daddy ain't there either. It goes back, a friend of mine's mother used to tell her, I'm not raising you for myself, I'm raising you for this world. What that means is you have to be independent enough to where you can survive in this world, whether you a girl or a guy. And so I sat back and I'm sitting here and I'm going, the statement bothered me because I think that so many people, and especially females, have this thought process that you need a man to do something for you. Or you could be like my father and be the opposite, and you want a female to do stuff for you. And to me, that's the worst kind of individual. It doesn't make sense. It's ignorant. Now he does it because I don't want to. It's not because he can't. There's a big difference. And so for those who can't, then you need to get the skills to can. And the reason I say that, and I'm explaining this to you. So this whole thing that just happened with Texas, I was watching a young lady on here. I think her channel is Helen H. And I started watching her because she preps food similar to me. She's an urban prepper and she has kids, a single mom. Now she's into the hair, the makeup, the decoration stuff. I don't care about any of that. I was there because I like to see her cooking and her um how she organizes her pantry and stuff. And so she went through. She's in Texas. I think she said she's in San Antonio, and she talked about that ice storm and that snowstorm, that winter storm they had where power was out, and all the stuff she's going through. Talked about, and she said that when she first started her prepping journey, so if you start prepping journey, people will start telling folks on the prepping channel. I've made suggestion on folks, you do this, do that, and folks, they incorporate. Well, somebody told her you need to get a generator for your house. She said when she went to look it up, this is prior to the snowstorm and ice storm. When she went to go look it up, she said, "Oh, you got to get diesel and stuff. Oh, that's a man thing. I'm not gonna do that. That's a man thing." Bet you she would have wanted that that generator during that storm. So when she did her video after the storm, she said, start talking about somebody had made that suggestion, and she said, "I'm gonna let y'all know it's in my shopping basket." She does a lot of YouTube or Amazon. She said, "It's in my shopping basket. I will be getting a generator. Okay, I will be getting a generator." And she said she gonna get a solar one as well as the diesel one. I personally, for me, since I'm in an apartment, I want to get a solar generator packet, and I got one that I have in mind. I gotta wait to get the money up, but that's what I'm gonna get too, because I don't care whether you're in an apartment or wherever. Power issues, they can happen, and it's good to have. And you might not have diesel, but you can always usually go off the sun. Off the sun, you're gonna get some kind of light to get enough solar power to do something, charge a phone, whatever you need, some emergency thing. So she talked about that, but her thing was it was a man thing, so she didn't do it because she felt that the man would go get the diesel and would work with the generator. Well, baby, you ain't got no man. You a single mom now because of a divorce with kids. You by yourself. So you got to be open to growing and growing your skill set. And your skill set to me should not have ever really been limited by whether you have a male in the house or vice versa for males when you end up single, by whether you have a female in the house. So you not cooking for yourself or not cleaning your house or not doing your laundry correctly because a woman ain't doing it for you, there's a problem. And we're looking at that as a role thing. And to me, that's a life thing. I'm not, look at her, the situation she was in. That wasn't a role situation of having a generator. In that situation, it's a life thing. Having that generator there would have made it a little easier for her and her kids. It's a life skill, not a role skill. And me putting that cart together, when I'm just look at the box and go, well, I ain't got no man to put that cart together for me. It's a life skill. I can go in. I can go in right now. I actually had stayed with a friend of mine when I was having my house built. I was decreasing my costs, and I had rented a room in order just to keep, start building up my money because I knew I had closing costs, a bunch of money that was going to be needed once my house was finished built. And I stayed with a friend, rented a room, and while I was there, they were in a house. Now, what got me, they were renting, but I don't understand why they didn't call the landlord. But actually, she had a boy in her house. She has a son. She had a son, and they had an issue with the toilet. Okay, and she's a single mom. And again, this is because moms don't know, and this is where it is the lack of having a male in there, but it's also a life skill issue. They had rigged up something to flush the toilet because the handle and the chain, something with the handle wasn't working. And the little thing that pulls up your, and I can do plumbing, but I forgot what it's called. But you have the handle, you have a metal rod that goes off, you have a chain on the metal rod that goes to the plunger or the flusher valve. And when you click, it lifts everything up, water goes through the tank, okay? They had rigged it up with some duct tape and some other stuff, and I was like, folks, black folks, y'all be coming up with some ingenuity, but it didn't make sense. I said to my home, I said, girl, what's going on with the toilet? Oh, well, the handle and some other stuff. And girl, I don't know. And, I don't want to bother the landlord because I don't want him going up on my bills and da 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 da. I'm like, okay, got you. I got up. I think I went to Ace. I think it was Ace Hardware. Was it Ace? I think it was Ace Hardware. I went in, I got the handle, I got the rod, I got a new chain. I fixed that toilet in all of 5 minutes because it's a life skill. It's not, I need a man to do that for me. But my problem was she did have a boy in that house. But because she's a single mom, she didn't even know how to teach him a life skill of going in there and how to fix the toilet. This is just a life skill. And so putting things together, following instructions, that's just a life skill. It's not about being male, it's not about female, it's about figuring it out. What I am impressed with the new generation that I am seeing is they will get on here to YouTube. Somebody just mentioned YouTube, and they will build a dang house from a freaking trailer bed and build a tiny home using skills they learned by watching people here. It might not be the prettiest, it might be a little bit raw and ratchet, but they don't limit themselves. And matter of fact, I just watched a woman do a van build by herself, solo female, by herself, and just she didn't let being female limit her from a life skill. These are things we can pick up, we can learn. That's one of the things that kind of frustrates me currently with my current role, is because I got a bunch of people and there's a lot of males. And I'm thinking, life skills, they don't have them. And they don't, and it's like the dangers of don't. I don't want to know. I'm not trying to know. I'm just going to stay in my bubble. It's ignorant to me. And so, and not to be mean, don't let your gender, whether female or male, dictate what you can do. And I will say, I will give transportation trucking this. That's something I really honed in on. YouTube University. That's what I call it too. YouTube University. I have to tell drivers, okay, you don't know how to do logs. You might want to go to YouTube University. Because I mean, there's stuff you can get, and there's somebody that talked about it. Somebody that did it. Somebody that showed you an example of it, and several. I'm gonna talk about my Instapot, and I did a recipe based on watching several YouTube videos and stuff, and what I learned, what I'm gonna incorporate, what I'm gonna change. And so it's up to you whether you want to stay in your own way. And a lot of people, um, to me, they're in their own way. I don't think it's about being included. And I think that's one thing that, oh, you're all in one. No, I'm a female. I'm not a man. I'm a female. But learning skill sets is important, because what happens if your daughter, okay, you raise your daughter to be married and boys do this and girls do that. She marries a guy, the marriage goes south, and now she's got 3 kids and it's her. And like my friend, she didn't have certain skill sets to teach her son. So he's missing to me, which there should be certain skills that are more prone to guys, but it's just not indicative of a male. But there's skill sets her boy don't have because she didn't teach him that. And I hate to say, a lot of women, and forgive me for saying this, y'all raise titty boys. You don't raise men, you raise grown males. A lot of females raise males as if they are their dude, not as if they are their son. Hold on, y'all, my flag itches. They don't raise them as if I'm raising a son. They raise them as if it's their man. So they baby them, they do all this other stuff, and instead, you now have given, if that male does end up with a female, you've given, that's when you call them mama's boys, because that's exactly, but my father's a mama's boy. You raised a male instead of a man, and that's what's wrong with it. But there's a lot of females, you're raising females that aren't women. And so we have a world full of grown females and grown males. And that's something I used to say, I didn't like men, but I didn't understand. I don't like males. I can't stand grown males. I don't have a problem with a grown man. I will give a grown man respect because a grown man raises his children. A grown man provides for his home. A grown man works. That person deserves, but I can't stand a grown male. Okay, I can't. I got a grown male for a father. It's irritating as hell. And at 70, he's like a grown 2-year old. But this is not something new. That's indicative of who he's been all his life. The only part of Grumpy that I would say fell into a man category was work. He always held a job. That much I would say he worked. Now, he didn't take care of his family in the sense of once he divorced, he didn't take care of any of his kids unless the women had to force him for child support. But, unlike Trucker Bill. Now, Trucker Bill, in most cases, Bill meets the man category on a lot of levels. A lot of levels. I mean, Bill has paid for children that aren't his children. That are what do they call them? Stepchildren, weddings, and helping them out, and also Bill is a grown man. Even how he took care of his wife at the end, that's a man. I know grown males whose wives got cancer and I can't cope and they left. That's a grown male. You can't hang in there while your wife is dying of cancer. But yet I met grown men who have lifted their wife to the porta john during the battle and the end of her life. I saw it. I respect a man. I can't stand a grown male. I respect a woman. I can't stand a grown female. And we got a bunch of those. So when we look at roles, I think, and this is just me, this is my thought, we have to be careful. It's just like that Helen H said, it's not something I want to mess with, but after this winter storm, I'm going to get one, y'all. I'm going to figure it out. Sister girl, whatever epiphany she had after that storm, she been doing videos now. She in the backyard. She done got her barbecue grill out there, got sand and dirt, laying pavers, doing stuff that would have been in her mind a male's job. Well, you ain't got no male. You ain't got no man up in the house. So, baby, you going to have to get a life skill and you're going to have to skill up and do it yourself. That's how I look at it. So we can't just depend on it. It's like Monty, because I said, you a chick. You look like a chick. It just irritate me. And when I say chick, I mean somebody who's a grown female who she can't do nothing for herself. I had it here when he had the bucket, the little sorry car. The light bulb went out in the front of the car. I said, "Hey man," because I don't mess with other people's car. I said, "Your light's out in the front," And he's like, "Oh, okay, I'll take it to the mechanic for him to check it." I'm just like, "You're gonna do what?" I said, "Well, is it because there are some lights when the headlight goes out, you have to replace the whole unit, and that might be something a mechanic has to do. I don't know. I didn't know the car." I said, "Well, wait a minute. I said, this car's a little older. This is before the car he has now." I said, "This car's a little older." I said, "So I need to ask you a question." I said, what seems to be the issue? That is it like an all in one? Oh no, oh no. Well, have you raised the hood and checked? I'm not mechanical. This ninja worked on a railroad, y'all, as a brakeman switchman. But because he's like a chick and I don't want to figure it out, he wouldn't even open his hood to figure out if it would have cost him probably $40-$50 to go get that light bulb changed. I said, "I'm open the hood. Let me look." I screwed off a cap. I pulled out the light bulb, took it to O'Reilly's, showed them the light bulb. They gave me the light bulb. Put the light bulb in, light came on, put the cap back on, car was good as gold. That cost like a couple of bucks. Life skills. So we either gonna pay in one way or another if we don't get with them. Okay, we have 59 minutes, so let me get on to my next subject. So that was my rant. Let me read what y'all said. Well, I'm gonna read everything at the end. We'll come back. Instapot. I ain't gonna be on that long. So I did a recipe which I'm gonna put up later. I did corned beef, cabbage, potatoes, carrots with beer. Okay, so it's typical what you call a St. Patty's Day meal. And I saw the corned beef on sale and I was like, oh, you know what? I can try out the Instapot. I did the boil test, kind of learned the general things about the Instapot that I could. But you really don't know anything till you cook something in it. And I will say right now, I'm in love with the Instapot. I've gotten an air fryer. I've used the air fryer a couple of times. Air fryer's okay. So not a huge fan. It's okay. The Instapot, love the Instapot. Even though part of the recipe didn't come the way I wanted, came out didn't come out exactly the way I wanted it to, I love it. So the meat came out very good. Because if you guys don't know, corned beef is a tough piece of meat, whether you do the round or the flat brisket. It's a tough meat. It has to cook, and normally you cook it just like you would a brisket, beef brisket. You have to cook it for 6, 7 hours in the oven for corned beef to be tender. So the corned beef, I'm gonna be honest, it came out really good. And it only took an hour and change. Okay. And I cooked it using beer, um, onion, garlic, the little spice packet it had in there, the pickling packet it had in there, and I even poured the brine juice off. Some people will wash it out of the package. I do not, and I might think that's gross. But the thing is that when corned beef, they actually put it in a certain brine for it to have the flavor and everything that you get. So even though it kind of looks like a bloody mess, that is the brine. If you read it, it's part of the brine. So if you can squeeze those juices in there. And you should be able to look at it and see it's not really just blood. There's something else going on with that. Um, yeah, V. Griffith, I recommend. There are actually truck drivers who use the Instapot on the truck. I had thought about getting one, and you can do all your meals in there. I mean, it's if you make sure you get the one where you can do what they call the saute. Mine has canning, saute, pressure cooking. It has the where it sterilizes stuff. So it's that thing is like all in one. It's beautiful. Um, what I will tell you, I learned as I did the corned beef that came out good. Then what some of the recipes were telling me to add to do your cabbage, your potatoes, and your carrots. Most of them had a consensus of this 5 minutes. So some left the meat in, and then you put that in on top of the meat, all the veggies in, and they said do it for 5 minutes. That's too long to me for the cabbage, and I'll get to that in a minute. The potatoes, perfect for the potatoes. The carrots, so. You can do the 5 minutes, still came out okay. I'm one who like a little crunch and crispness to my vegetables. And to me, the cabbage was overcooked with the 5 minutes. So the way I would do it now that I know is I would do the potatoes for maybe the 5 minutes, and I would start them out for maybe 2 minutes. Then I would add a carrots in for third minute. And then when I got to the fourth minute of cooking, I would then add in the cabbage. The cabbage only needs 1 to 2 minutes in that pressure cook. It actually, mine goes up to a temperature of 250 degrees at 15 psi. That would have been perfect. And I cooked it, did the 5 minutes. The cabbage is still together, but it's too soft. I was not. I can eat it the softness it is because what I do is I now eat it, put some hot sauce on it like it's too. I would have preferred not as soft. I would have preferred it um, like al dente is what they call it. I don't want it really, really soft. It wasn't mushy, but it was soft, and I don't want it that soft. So that's what I learned. But the Instapot, it cooks fast. I mean, you could do vegetables in 1 to 2 minutes. You could put potatoes in there, and within 2 to 3 minutes, your potatoes are done. Um, you can put the carrot, like hard carrots in there. Carrots are done within 1 to 2 minutes. And then that cabbage, like I said, 5 minutes was too long. That cabbage should be done within 1 to 2 minutes. So other than that, the Instapot is the bomb. And yes, on the truck, I could see a whole bunch you could do on the truck with that. If you get the one with the sear, yeah, I like cabbage raw too. I do cabbage raw on my when I do my fish tacos. I'll do fish tacos for y'all one time too. Um, on the truck, the Instapot I think is genius. If you have a refrigerator, there's so much you could do with an Instapot on the truck. Yeah, I didn't know they were that big. I know there's 6 and I think there's an 8 quart. But if you can get a small one, that Walmart has some small ones. Because I was thinking about getting one when I was back on my truck, and I'm happy I didn't. But the Instapot, if I ever, and I don't foresee myself ever going back to trucking, and if I did, I have to be on owner op. I can't drive for companies. I can't do the whole working for the I gotta have my freedom. I be talking to folks in the office. I'll be like, I had one call me the other day. He asked me, he wanted to know the bridge law. And I showed y'all my what do you call it? Road atlas. Well, I'm gonna start stacking up all my. I had a bunch of trucking stuff, so I've been boxing up my trucking stuff if I don't need to use it. And for me sitting up there researching that, they don't give me the time for that, so I put that up. So I can't be researching for you the bridge law. So I just pulled up Google and gave him the DOT off numbers for the states he wanted. He wanted me to sit there and give him the bridge law for. I said, "Do you have a road atlas in your truck?" Oh no, I don't have one. And I think he was training a student. I'm done. I'm done. I'm like, no, no, sir. So what happens when the GPS goes out? How are you getting around the state? Do you just know the roadways off the top of your head? Do you know what interchanges you're going to come in? You don't have a road. He had no map on his truck, no road atlas. And the road atlas, as I told you, it has a wealth of information in the beginning of that guide. I had nothing. I was like, oh, I don't know what to tell you. Better use your phone. And everybody and their mama got a smartphone. Don't tell me you got a flip phone with buttons. And if you do, well, here's the number to DOT. You need to call them. That's your job. That's part of you being a CDL holder. Calling the office and asking them the bridge laws. You're dumb as hell if you really believe those people. You better put your eyes on stuff, or you better call DOT and get it from a DOT officer yourself. Crazy as hell. Anyway. So Instapot, love Instapot. What I did learn, I didn't know on the back, if you guys get one, it has an overflow. So I had juice everywhere that was, because like I said, I used beer. By the time it blew off all the steam and the juice had bubbled up and all the pressure of that when it released, there was juice all on it. So I'm happy I got that table for it. And what I did learn is if you get it, probably get a towel and put under it when you're cooking. You need to have a cup with it has like a little some other little cup, but they need to put a cup under this other side because otherwise you're gonna have liquid everywhere. A cup or a bowl, so that if there's any liquid, it will catch it. It can be messy if you don't know that, and I did not know, so I found that out the hard way. I have not done. I've got to do my cleanup. It's soaking because I just did this the other night. So I got to do my cleanup of everything. So I did a wipe down of the outer part. I got to do the pan of the inner pot, and I'm gonna order another inner pot, and then I'm gonna order. They have a slow cooker lid, so it also serves as a slow cooker. So you could actually use it like a crock pot. And I thought, like I said, it's the way this thing is made. It's genius. And so I'm gonna be doing the barbecue sauce in there because I can see I now see the possibilities of it. I'm like, oh, this is just genius, absolutely genius. Um, what's the other thing? And y'all hear my sign. Says I got a doctor's appointment Tuesday, and I'm first time going into the office with her. I haven't gone to the office, but I'm going in the office with her and seeing my doctor. So, we got to talk about this drainage because it's bad. And then I had a massive allergic reaction to a food spice I had here in that house. Let me talk about that real quick too. And I think I showed it. There is a spice that someone told me about called Accent, ACCENT. What I didn't know, because I didn't read it, because I just went on somebody's word, like, and it was good. I ain't gonna lie. You put it in the dish, it did enhance the flavors. So there's something called MSG. If y'all don't know what MSG, monosoodial, whatever, glutamate, or whatever it's called. I don't get along with it. It's some people have a very bad reaction, and for me, I don't. I have really bad allergy with it, and from migraines to whole other issues. And so I was not doing good last. I took between the week, and I took a day before and a day after my off time. I pretty much was in bed between migraine and just trying to flush that out my system. I did not know that Accent is MSG. So if you get it and you have an allergic reaction, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, read the bottle and know what you're getting it. Flavor was on point. A lot of Asian places you have to tell them if they use MSG, don't put MSG in my food. And I normally ask that with Chinese food, do you guys use MSG? Or they'll have it on their menu that they don't. My reaction to MSG is just like my reaction to Equal. If I drink Equal or anything with Equal in it, oh, you talk about migraine hell. I'm talking about the migraines where you see the aura and you feel like you constantly want to puke. That's me. I can't do Equal MSG. They totally jack me. And I mean, I feel like dog doo doo. So that's why I didn't feel good. So everybody, everybody like COVID. No, it wasn't COVID. It was really that. And then my allergies are on stuff right now because we are going through the season change. I can sense it coming. And it was so the instant pop we talked about. Oh, C2A Coming to America. So I don't know how many of y'all watch Coming to America. Um, I watched the new Coming to America too, and I just wanted to talk about it a minute. I think for me watching it was more nostalgia. It was really good to see he brought in some old groups like In Vogue, Gladys Knight. I forgot who else in there. Um, I forgot was, and he had a lot of stars like black stars in there you just didn't expect. Morgan Freeman was in it. He made an appearance. Leg itches. I got mosquitoes. I got a couple mosquitoes that come in. Morgan Freeman made an appearance. Who else? So I know Morgan Freeman was one. He made his appearance. Um, Wesley Snipes was in it. Obviously, Arsenio Hall. There were some other people in there, but I didn't think it was all that funny. That's just me. I think I watched it more for the nostalgia of it and mindless entertainment. It was good to see some of the actors and stuff. Like I said, and his storyline was okay. I mean, it's just really a repeat storyline of him going to find a wife, but through his son. So, I mean, it was okay. But like I said, for me, if you're gonna watch it, it's more nostalgia than anything. That's like Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I think he's got one. I haven't watched it yet. Um, but just more nostalgia, especially being older. But for me, it's funny because I was sitting here thinking because I was looking for a movie tonight, and I think as you start getting older, you look for a certain type of quality of the movie. For me now, I'm grumpy likes mindless ghetto violent stuff. That's his thing. If it's ghetto ratchet, it's got some chicks in it and blowing up, shooting and drug dealing. That's all up his alley. For me, I can't. After a while, I just can't. And even if it does have violence in it, it better have a damn good storyline. Otherwise, I can't get into it. It's just I don't like. So a good show, Queen of the South. It's Latino. If y'all ain't watched that series, bomb. It reminds me of what was the show? It takes place in Baltimore, Maryland. It's about the cops. Oh my God, I can't, and I can see it in my head right now. Um, that show was well written. It did so. It Barksdale, somebody Avon Barksdale. I can't. Hold on, y'all. See, it's gonna bother me now. Hold on. It's gonna bother me because I gotta find it. Hold on. Okay. The Wire, the movie, the sitcom, The Wire, bomb. That was so well written. And the other one was about the teacher who sold the drugs. Oh, see, trying to see what the name of the show was. Breaking Bad. Those three shows, and that's not something I promote, but I like well written stuff. And those were so well written and well acted. It wasn't just ratchet ghetto drug violence. Well written, I can get with that. Um, Humor stuff, I'm not like some people like comedies. I don't like dumb comedy. I can't. I don't like dumb humor. I got friends of mine they love it. I can't. I can't. I can't. I was watching. Matter of fact, I just watched this one. What was it on Amazon? And green something, where the comet comes and starts killing half of mankind, and they're gonna have a lottery, and certain people can get into this shelter, and other folks can't, and y'all trying to save like a part of humanity, and the rest of y'all gonna die. Oh well, and if y'all survive, good luck. It was, the storyline. Okay, I get it. We're gonna have the comment, but there got to be stupid stuff. The little boy done reached in the bag, and he's a diabetic, and he drops the insulin thing. So the dad got to go back out, and I'm like, okay, I can't. Fast forward through that because that's just. It was like we got to do something to make plausible. Then the mama gonna get in the car with her son, with some stranger you don't know, and the bracelet that you got on indicates you part of this lottery, and you think that these people ain't gonna try to mug you. I can't. The mama gonna take the little boy, and y'all gonna go where they looting this drugstore or looting this store. Because you need insulin, and you and the husband get separated because he go back. It was just stupid stuff. It's just like I said, and I can't stand it. It's like, okay, I'm like, I can't look. I'm like, I can't. I can't. So there's some stuff I can't watch because it's just like, this is stupid. This is just absolutely stupid. But yeah, but Coming to America, y'all, do I recommend watching it? I think for nostalgia, yeah. And if you like Eddie Murphy's silly humor, then cool. I like early Eddie Murphy. That's right, like Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood when he was back on Saturday Night Live, and Boomerang, and what's the other one? Boomerang was my favorite Eddie Murphy movie. My favorite Eddie Murphy movie was Boomerang with Halle Berry. Loved it. Just loved it. That movie actually was funny to me. Yeah. So that was probably my favorite movie by him. But Coming to America too, it's all right. It's all right. It was, like I said, mindless entertainment. Good to see the old actors. The storyline was silly, um, but very much I liked the way everything went. Anyway, y'all, we at 77 minutes. Let me go read through your comments and see if I got any questions. By the way, and thank you because somebody already did it. If you're watching this later down the line, thumbs up, like, hit the subscription bell. Let me go back. So me and Tanya were talking a little bit. Dexter, my Christian buddy, is on here. Colorado, Wendy's in Colorado. In Colorado, you got bad storms. Matter of fact, I-40 in Arizona and parts of Colorado were shut down. V. Griffith, please let me know what happens at Prime. Good trucking company. Justin Dillon background with some of the drivers that I know. Very good company. I like their training program. Let me know what you think. I would say top. If you could go in as a new driver, I would recommend them number one. I think that they're very picky, but they because of and it's good to be picky. But they are very picky. I will say that. But I do think that their program for starter drivers is probably, if you're going to have to train at a trucking company and not have to go through trucking school, I think it's top notch. To Wendy's thing about, she said, no matter what company you have to have, women should have each other's back. Women are more cutthroat in the workplace because, so let me chime in here. A lot of issues with females, which I've run into, is that when, okay, so let me use this example, and this is something I heard, and I remember it was a church, and one of the pastors said, and I agree with him 100%. You got a football game. Players on the field, men could hate each other. I mean, absolutely can't stand each other. But if the goal is winning the game, they all gonna get on the same page. They could not stand each other, hate each other, but they go. Whereas with women in an office, women, I don't care what female, there's this cattiness about females. And if they intimidated by you, or they scared that you're going to be better than them, or they want to be something else, women will be cutthroat up to even dogging the team to not allow one individual they don't like, to do anything else, because I'm just going to make the whole team fail. There's a difference between a male and a female. That's one of them. Women are more catty. It's about me. I'm gonna do it my way, and I'll strike at the other cats. I'll kill the whole cat community, just so that no other cat does what I don't want done. So that is still indicative in workplaces, and it's sad women can't get on the same page, and I find they're more cutthroat, especially if they want to climb or to help others climb. Hold on. Lemonade. Um. Okay, Wendy said I-25, I-70, and I-76 are closed both ways. Wouldn't travel 36 out of Kansas. Total whiteout. And yeah, and real quick, if there are any drivers, y'all, I talked to them yesterday, and finally I just have to become numb because they crazy as hell. The traffic. I'm on I-40, and we just parked on the road. So because I guess my company has some kind of alert they do called sitting duck, meaning you're not supposed to be just sitting on roadways, and they send alerts. This again, starter company stuff. First off, we need to train you on how to watch the weather. How to get a hold of 511 road conditions, because it makes no sense you sitting on the road. So I do commend them on that sitting duck, but it's ridiculous that they should even have to do it. Drivers calling me talking about, well, the load's gonna be late because I'm stuck here. We just sitting on the freeway because the road's really bad. Did you not know that there was gonna be a storm in this state? Did you not call 511 road conditions? Because the interstate you're on, I can tell you where there's truck stops along the way. I can tell you where there's rest areas along the way. And you should have been planning a stop. Now, if you want to see how far you can get, okay. But plan stops, legs. So I told y'all the story of me going into Nevada, Reno, Sparks area. I had a load and I was coming out of Vegas. So I took a back highway in, and I ended up, I forgot what interstate it is, but I ended up on the backside of Reno. And I got there, and just as I'm coming in, the snow started to fall. I made it to a pilot. I was supposed to be delivering a load the next day in Sparks, Nevada area, Sparks, Reno area. And I was taking, even though I was a reefer driver, I was delivering, I think it was tile, some kind of tile product, some tile or plumbing products to this tile place. Very tight area. I made it there. I stopped for the night. The next morning, they cleaned the freeway up. I made it in to Sparks, Reno, got the load delivered, headed to the truck stop because I needed to. Was I fueling there? I might have been fueling there. Parked at the truck stop, went to the bathroom, and I had checked the weather because my next load they gave me was going into Cali, which means I had to go over Donner. They already were in a winter storm. So what did Shannon do? 511 road conditions. Now I could have been dumb like some of these folks I talked to, and I was like, well, it's pretty clear here. So I'm gonna keep driving on into the damn mountain where there is no truck parking, very few areas. And I'm gonna go ahead and drive into that mountain, and it's chains on, chains off. Oh, there's an accident, and they done shut down the freeway for 2 days. And I was called a sitting duck. Why are you not calling ahead? Again, training issues. You should not be calling your company because I'm going to keep driving even into this craziness. Blizzard, like, no, I'm going to drive and I'm going to phone call and I'm going to hear where the weather's at. And I did, like I said, legs, especially when you know you're going into a storm. I'm okay. I get with getting as far as you can, but getting to as far as you can where you're just going to keep driving until they shut the freeway down and all you're doing is sitting on the freeway, that's asinine. That is the dumbest stuff ever. Get parked in a safe place. And I'm going to say this to y'all and I'm going to get off of here. For you new truckers and for hopefully some that might be listening to me. You parked on that freeway. You ain't hit nothing. But Sally is still driving. And she slides in that car and slides into you and dies. Go ahead, let your family know it's been real because you're going to prison for manslaughter. Because what they're going to do is they're going to say you should not have been there. You, as a professional driver, should know your weather conditions. You, as a professional driver, should be calling ahead to find out what's going on with the roads. And if it is so bad, you should not have been there. Logs could be 100% correct. They're going to say, we knew that this storm was coming. It was announced. You, as a professional driver, should be watching that as part of your job. And you were sitting there and Sally slid into you. Had she not slid into you, she might have survived. But since she didn't, we're suing the hell out of your company and you're going to do some prison time for manslaughter. I'm just saying. Also, you don't want that on your conscience. So people, shut it down before. Most companies, they know. I had a company in Flagstaff. Sam's was calling me, asking me about loads. And I was telling them, I'm like, well, yeah, the drivers are near you, but they can't move. They're stuck on 40. They didn't know. They didn't know that it was shut down. I said I-40 shut down in two directions. And I think there was an accident. You shouldn't get that far. But I had a driver. He called me, and I told him, I said, I like you. He called me. He says, ma'am, he says, I've already called. He says, I'm showing I-40 shut down. He says, so I'm going ahead and I'm going to park it here because I got a safe place to be at. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Because ultimately, you don't want to spend your time in prison. It's not worth it. Behind foolishness. And if y'all don't believe me, let's talk to Werner and that multi-million-dollar lawsuit that I don't know if they've settled yet. From the Werner driver who was in it was a massive rainstorm. He was handling his truck perfectly fine. Opposite side of a freeway, car, families, hydroplanes off, slides into his truck. I think there's a death. Somebody was paraplegic, and I forgot the other issue. Prison time, his fault, and I don't even know if Werner settled that yet. I don't know how much he's going to have to pay. I do not know how much. Why? Because he shouldn't have been there. The rain, what road conditions, you not only weighing it for you handling that truck, you're weighing it for what if. That's why I tell people I don't chain trains. As soon as I found out that if you have chains on your truck and somebody hits you and dies or just hits you in general, it is automatically your fault because they're going to tell you shouldn't have been there. Chains are to get out. So all of a sudden I get up there and some freakish storm happens. But if you know that storm is going to happen ahead of time, you need to be calling along your route and figure out along your route where to stop, check, stop, check, stop, check. And live outside of a prison cell for another day. Guys, anyway. You guys be safe. I'm going to end it. We're at 88 minutes, which is way too long. I only want to be an hour. I'm going to probably find something to watch on this television. Y'all, not next Sunday, but probably just unless I see something. Sunday after that, I'll come with something else, hopefully. Y'all be blessed, and I'll be putting up the whole thing with the Instapot. And I'll show you the meal. I have pictures of it. I probably should put it up. But y'all be blessed. 2 and 2. Peace.